I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Krysta. I'm the daughter.
And together we are
Family Plot.
Yeah, it's easier when we're not on the same computer and in the same room and not having delay issues.
Well, yeah, but it's,
Yeah, we did.
Last week was pretty awesome, though.
It was.
We were with a pretty awesome person, too.
Yeah.
Yes. Jane's amazing, and she really enjoyed herself, so she's open to coming back, which is always good to hear.
Always a good information. Yes, we like people to enjoy spending time with us.
So, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. First things first, there's Patreon with 2 levels, $1, $3. It's a monthly donation. If you can swing it, it helps us immensely, and you get all sorts of goodies for being on either level. If you can't do a monthly donation, you can do a one-time donation through Buy Me a Coffee, just $1 or $2, whatever you can spare, any whole dollar amount. And if you can't do that, we don't hold it against you. We've never had a lot of money ourselves.
That's true. Still don't. Probably never will.
If you enjoy the show, share it on social media.
Share it with friends.
Share it with family.
Share it with everyone. If you don't enjoy the show, please keep it to yourself.
You can't say something nice. Don't say nothing at all.
Right.
Yeah, I shouldn't say anything because I'm not good at saying nice. But
that is true. But we let you talk anyway because we enjoy hearing you.
So what are we talking about today?
If I had my choice, I'd make you be a little more quiet.
Okay. Today, we go back to the early 1900s and visit Juneau, Alaska. This, at that time, young state capital, is home to a hotel built by a group of miners who struck it rich. We discuss the history of Juneau, the history of the hotel, and the ghosts who have taken up residence in this Land of the Midnight Sun episode on this between holiday episode of the Family Plot podcast. But first, our Krysta has a corner.
It's not just any corner. It's Krysta's corner.
Hey, Krysta.
Hey, how's it going?
There's things in your corner.
Yeah, there is things in my corner. So it has been, oh my goodness, it feels like it's been a while. I know it hasn't been that long, because we just did an episode last week. But holy squirrels.
Nice save.
Has it been?
You've had a week, right?
It's been a week.
Well, I mean, Christmas. Christmas is always a thing.
There's
so
Christmas.
We had Christmas.
There's a bunch of other things that happened.
Well, yeah, but, we...
Yeah, I know we had Christmas because we had everybody from your little sister all the way up to your older brother in our bedroom ridiculously early on the 25th going, Crema.
Yeah, crema. It's crema time. It was crema time.
Which I thought crema was the name for, Mexican sour cream.
That's crema, but good, yeah.
I mean, I don't Spanish, but, I mean...
I don't know that either.
So did you get anything cool for Krima?
I did get something cool for Krima. I got a supernatural shirt.
You also
And
got pretty socks.
I also got really pretty socks.
Let's say eat, sleep, and game.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Amazing socks.
We are big fans of gaming. There was some new
Also,
new
I really like
gaming
that hat.
dice.
Yep. New gaming dice.
There was some new gaming dice. There was a new Mimic dice bag book
Yep.
that
Looks like a
Lexi
spell book.
obtained.
Yep.
Yes. And has since named Carl too, because I've started a thing.
Because ever
And
since
I
Mom-
got some amazing Critical Role merchandise from my loving partner.
And I gave her a cool mug.
And a cool mug. Yes.
There were 2 cool
Couple
mugs.
of cool mugs. One I'm drinking coffee out of, the other I am using to hold treasures.
Because if you put that up in the shelf, somebody would drop it on the floor almost instantly.
It doesn't hold a lot.
Doesn't hold a ton.
Yeah, it's
Like the way I drink coffee, like we're looking at 5 sips.
I would be spilling it on my face.
It wouldn't hold a lot of coffee, so.
It didn't look as shallow in the package.
That's fine. He's adorable. I am Groot. I am Groot. But I digress. So you have a new friend.
I do have a new friend. We've been friends for about a month now. Not too terribly long. I think it's been like a month and a half. They're really cool.
Okay.
We've been hanging out on call a lot recently.
Yeah, I know this. Sorry.
And I made a mask.
Yes, you did. Out of cardstock.
I made a mask out of cardstock and foam. Yeah.
Yes.
And then I'm going to cover it in felt. And I'm going to try to get it a little bit furred.
Very, very awesome.
Yeah.
Wait. It felt furry?
No, felt. Like, do you know what felt is?
Okay, felt the fabric.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard that all wrong. My brain went, nope. Nope, I didn't want to think that through. So how's your friend?
They're good. Right now they're chilling with their family, which, oof.
Oof.
Sometimes, family.
What are you trying to say, Chris? You like chilling with your family.
I do like chilling with my family, but sometimes they can be a little obnoxious.
I see. Of course, you're never obnoxious, right?
I'm not saying I've never been obnoxious.
Not my Krysta.
No. Yes, you're Krysta.
My Krysta's never obnoxious.
Oh, goodness. You must be lying to yourself.
I didn't pass on my obnoxious genes to my children.
One's laughing at that, Daddy.
I try.
Y'all aren't y'all proud of me? It is the 27th and the tree's still up.
I'm very proud of you.
I didn't take it down Christmas morning like I have in the past. I didn't take it down the day after Christmas like I have in the past.
You kept it up.
It's still up. Now, tomorrow it's coming down because I can't.
I can't do it anymore. It's
I can't
not
do
Christmas.
it anymore. But I did. I kept it up past Christmas Day. So
Proud enough of you. Okay.
absolutely. So, do you have anything else that you want to talk about on your corner?
In her corner, on her corner makes it sound like she might work for the Alaskan Hotel.
Whoa.
Hey now.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, I haven't made it much further in Supernatural. I'm on like episode 10 of season 6 right now, I think.
Have you run into Kevin yet?
No.
Okay.
I think he's much further.
Very possibly. Like I said, at the point when when I met April Victorine, and she was talking about Kevin, because all of her coffee pots are named Kevin. I want to say Supernatural at that point had at least 10 seasons. So
Yeah, it's been a minute.
so yeah, so it may be fairly later.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm still on the 6th season. I'm surprised I've made it that far.
I'm not.
Mm-mm. Me neither.
Why not?
You're tenacious. You've got that in you. I don't know where you get that from, because but I like your tenacity. This is not Blue's Corner.
You're right. You can cut it out.
Why?
What? Why do y'all make work for me? Why?
I'm not trying. I was trying to I don't know. I didn't want to talk over her just in case you had to cut it out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what else do you want to talk about, Chris?
I ate a lot of candy over Christmas.
What, isn't that part of what Christmas is about?
Yeah, nothing has calories on Christmas.
Yeah.
And that ham we got. Oh, that is so good.
Yes, it is.
On Christmas morning, I made some really good ham and cheese, like biscuit things.
Yep, those
Okay.
were tasty. I remember that.
We did. We could have more of those. We still have plenty of crescent rolls.
Awesome. Ooh, and we could use the good ham.
Mm.
So
Was that it for Krista's Corner this week?
Yeah, I think so.
all right. And
Aw, Lexi wants kisses.
claps.
Yay, claps! Woo!
So, I'm going to give a very brief history of Alaska and the U.S. And when I say brief, I mean pretty much truncated. Like, if history is a growing tree, what I'm going to give you is a stump.
A
So
very short stump.
Yeah. In 1857, then Secretary of State William H. Seward purchased the Alaskan territory from Russia for 2 cents an acre for a grand total of $7 million. And at 2 cents an acre, I'm just wondering how that conversation went. I picture them in a room somewhere, because I don't think there were phones in 1857. Maybe like telegraph, but I don't think there were phones. So I just picture them in a room somewhere, and William Seward going 1 cent an acre, and the Russian delegate going, no, 2. Deal.
I feel like you're simplifying it quite a bit, but I could be wrong.
Now, the Alaskan territory is in a pretty wintry area. The Inuit people, the native people of Alaska, have lived in it for centuries. But at the time of this purchase, papers and pundits ridiculed the purchase as Seward's Folly, Seward's Icebox, or my dear lady's favorite, President Andrew Johnson's Polar Bear Garden.
And heretofore, I shall be referring to the state of Alaska as Andrew Johnson's Polar Bear Garden.
Seward bought it because by itself, it was 1/5 the size of the continental U.S. So he thought it expanded our land rather drastically.
And it did. Unfortunately, it's also still very, very...
Snowy and cold, yes.
Yeah, very open. I mean, we as a human population still haven't been able to get up there and really explore all of it, because it's still, even this day and age, still very hostile, hard to live on land.
Yeah, well, and Alaska is one of the few states where men outnumber women.
Mm-hmm.
Most other states, women outnumber men, some by a large degree. But
Oh, yeah, true
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So, the rise of Juneau, situated near the. Oh, I guess that I'm trying to take your spot. I wanted
Are
to be
you?
purple.
I thought
I
I
wanted
was
to be
blue.
purple. Nope, you're purple. I'm blue.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're fine. Situated near the. Oh my goodness! Excuse me. I almost lost my voice on Christmas, so excuse me if my voice sounds very.
No,
gross.
you're fine.
You sound good to
Situated
me.
near the Gastano Channel. Just Gastano, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just the Gastano Channel. The area that would become the Juneau was long a place where the local Inuits fished for salmon. Can you highlight that or so like go along with my words or something? Because I keep getting lost. I apologize.
You're fine.
1870 reports of gold-speckled stones found in the waterways near Gastano Channel began to make their way to the rest of the United States, drawing prospectors to the mountains above, with everyone trying to claim a piece of the massive load that existed in the mountains there. With the lure of gold, the area population exploded, and in fact, Juneau's population doubled between 1910 and 1920. And while it would be the 1950s before Alaska would be granted statehood, Juneau soon replaced Sitka's territory's capital. The area was named after Joe Juneau, one of the first men to discover gold at the mouth of the aptly named Gold Creek.
Nice.
So, yeah. And that was something I had completely forgotten. I had forgotten that Alaska did not become a state till the 1950s.
It was one of that and Hawaii were the last ones.
Yeah, yeah. Although we do have Puerto Rico, that's a protectorate.
Yeah, I think so.
And I guess they could become a state, but so far they vote against it.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Might be something to look into later on down the line.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a moment for a word from another podcast, because I so like promoting other indie podcasts.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Sean McCabe.
And I'm Carrie McCabe.
We are, well, married, obviously, but we're also obsessed with the darker side of things.
True crime stories, alien abductions, poltergeists. If it leaves you scratching your head and keeping those lights on at night, we want to hear about it.
That's why we host the podcast, Ain't It Scary, with Sean and Carrie.
Every week, we bring our listeners a true story guaranteed to send chills down your spine. From history's most brutal serial killers to the mystery of spontaneous human combustion.
Yep, lots of these stories leave unanswered questions behind, and you'll get to poke through the rubble of the evidence with a hardened skeptic and
someone whose mind is more open to fun.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The show really feels like just kicking back with us at home and chatting about monsters and tragedies, but having a few laughs along the way.
Just like we'd be doing if the mics were off, frankly.
You can find Ain't It Scary with Sean and Carrie wherever you get your podcasts, and on social media at Ain't It Scary. Come play with us.
Forever and ever and ever.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right.
So now are you going to take us to the
I am. I'm going to take us to the founding of the Alaskan Hotel, which begins with two Canadian brothers. And they might have even had Canadian bacon.
Oh my
before they
goodness.
started the Alaskan Hotel.
Maybe.
The McCloskey brothers, miners and prospectors who had finally hit a high-paying claim worth over $25,000 at the time. Looking at Juneau, there were a lot of mining camps and bunkhouses, but few hotels. They got together with promoter entrepreneur Jules B. Caro in 1912 and decided to build a hotel. They acquired a site near the docks and bordering what was at the time Juneau's central business district. On September 16, 1913, the three men opened the doors on what would be the Alaskan Bar and Hotel. Jules, who was the more dramatic of the trio, even attached their first set of keys to a helium balloon to signify that the hotel would never close its doors. The hotel held a champagne gala opening and boasted steam heat in every room and a one-half KHZ station on the roof. It was the finest hotel in Juneau at the time.
And that's my bad. I should have spelled out kilohertz, but that's one of those words that I look at and go, no.
Yeah,
So,
I don't blame you. I saw that and it made me think of 1.21 gigawatts.
yes, they couldn't have opened the Alaskan Hotel if they hadn't sent those keys up by balloon and got a lightning strike that generated
enough power.
Enough gigawatts to send it back in time.
Yep, something like that. Probably not, but it's interesting to think of anyway.
All right, and now let's take a moment for a word from our sponsors.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Chris.
I feel sponsored.
Yay!
I feel sponsored too, but that seemed like a really quick turnaround.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just saying. Like we could have talked about Balto in that amount of time or something.
What's Balto?
You don't know about Balto?
You don't know what Balto is?
No, somebody clue me in before.
Okay, so Balto was a half-wolf sled dog that saved a bunch of the children, and that was in Juneau, right? In Juneau, Alaska, using the Iditarod dog races when they came down with, what was that, cholera?
I think so.
I'd have to, but there's a statue to Balto and the other sled dogs who rescued the children. In Nome, Alaska. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From Juneau to Nome, they run the Iditarod dog races to commemorate it still to this day.
Oh.
But these dogs, and they did the animated movie Balto because one of the lead dogs was Balto, who was a half wolf. And it's a very sweet, heartwarming, wonderful, based on a true story. So when I think of Juneau, Alaska, and think of Alaska, I think of Balto. Yeah.
No.
But we could have talked. I mean, we could have just stuck that in there.
Like we did just now?
Like just now, yeah. But I didn't do any research on it. I'm just saying. All right, I'm sorry. We were talking about the Alaskan Hotel. Please continue.
Oh, no, that's fine because we're in Alaska, I get to comment on one of my favorite facts ever, and that is as penguin poop begins to lie around, it produces laughing gas.
Yes.
Which I think is hilarious. And it explains a lot of penguin behavior, as well as both the Happy Feet movies.
That's right.
Those never happened. That's just the collective fantasy of all those penguins on laughing gas.
Sounds fair.
It's just a theory, but I like it.
It's a theory.
A theory, all right.
So now that we have Alaska and we have Juneau, it's time to talk about the Alaskan Hotel. The hotel was built to cater to the tastes of the elite, which is odd because miners aren't known for their highfalutin tastes. So it wound up catering to low-born tastes as well. Whiskey and alcohol flowed for the next 5 years until the Alaskan bone-dry prohibition was enacted in 1918. Now, this was 2 years before the Volstead Act created prohibition in all of the U.S. So the Alaskan Hotel was bone dry before prohibition happened.
Wow.
Now, the McCloskey brothers retooled the bar into a soda shop and cafe, but most claim the change was mostly cosmetic, and the cafe was a speakeasy where those in the know could still obtain alcohol.
Well, I mean, bunch of miners. Gotta have something to keep you warm at night.
Yeah, probably go to the counter and give me some cough medicine, blah, blah, blah.
Something like that.
Now, the hotel was also used as a brothel. Krysta, cover your ears. For those of you who don't know, a brothel is a place where one goes to pick up prostitutes. Okay, you can uncover your ears.
Like she at 14 doesn't know what a prostitute is.
Just let me protect my children.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, protect me all you want.
Now, the hotel was used as a brothel, first legally, because back before Alaska was a state, prostitution was legal, which makes sense considering a significant portion of Alaskans were miners. And miners have a hankering to carouse when they get done mining.
Carousing, minoring.
Right. So, and then later, of course, after it became a state, legal prostitution was no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But late in the 60s, early 70s, the Alaskan Hotel became the Northlander, which anybody who anytime you find any information about it while it was the Northlander, it was kind of a rough place.
I see.
A lot of fights, a lot of murders, a lot of other illicit activity, a lot of drugs. The place has always been home to a lot of drugs, apparently.
I mean...
But yeah, while it was the Northlander, there was a lot of illegal prostitution that was going on until the building was closed down and condemned by the local fire department. Because fire department? I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, isn't that kind of what they do?
Yeah. Now, the building was purchased by people who rehabbed and remodeled it back into a Victorian-style hotel. Now, when I say a Victorian-style hotel, it's what they call a transitional style because it was really built right as the 1800s were becoming the 1900s. So it has some stuff from the period of that last little decade of the 1800s, but new stuff as well.
19th century into the 20th century.
Right. It's what they call a transitional Victorian style.
Mm.
Now, in 1978, it was added to the National Register of Historic Places. It is the oldest hotel in Juneau, still in operation. In 1994, it was included as part of the Downtown Historic District in Juneau. And Juneau, believe it or not, is modernizing quite a bit.
Yes.
It's like, I still tend to think of a lot of Alaska as a place full of old wooden buildings and,
but it's
Eskimo.
Definitely not anymore.
No, it's
the big cities are big cities.
Yeah.
Just like big cities are here in the States.
Yeah. So, and And Juneau, well, Alaska in general is one of those places I would like to visit briefly, but I would never want to live there.
Yeah, me and the cold don't get along. So I don't think I'd want to. I'm not even real thrilled about the idea of visiting it, but that's me. So let's tell a few stories about the Alaskan Hotel in general. In the early days of the Alaskan Hotel, a miner and his new bride stayed at the hotel on their honeymoon. Soon, the miner had to return to his claim, and he told his bride that he would be back in 3 weeks. However, 3 weeks came and went without the miner returning, and owing much for her room, the bride turned to prostitution to pay her debt. However, within a week, her husband returned. Upon finding out what his wife did to pay their bill, the miner killed her in their room 218. So he was late. She did what she had to do to keep a roof over her head, and he murdered her.
That's, about the size of it.
Wow. Fortunately, this story is almost certainly not true. However, it cannot be conclusively disproven. Furthermore, during the mining days, Juneau was fairly wild and lawless, and prostitutes could be, and sometimes were, killed. And sometimes poor choices and lots of illicit substances by the miners left many of them dead as well.
That's awful.
So mining was a rough life. So I mean, we've talked a little bit about some of the gold rush that we experienced here in the lower 48 states. But anytime people go out and they're mining for gold, that's a rough life to live. So it absolutely does sometimes turn into that kind of craziness.
Right. And you also have to understand too that like most of the gold rushes that happened were placer deposits, meaning that they were found in creeks and riverbeds, and you could pan for gold and come up with a fair amount of it. That's less possible in Alaska. Yeah, it is a little, because there's a big load of gold in the mountains above Juneau, and it flows down into the Gastineau Channel, but it freezes fairly regularly, so panning for gold doesn't do a lot for you.
Right.
Because nobody wants to stand in a frozen stream. So that was a lot harder work. You're using a mine to pick. You're up in the mountains in a cold environment anyway. Right. So this is rough on top of rough.
Yeah.
And miners, when they weren't working, were kind of like
work hard, play hard kind of thing.
Yeah. Kind of the same way that guys that work on oil wells are. Like, they'll work for months at a time, walk away with $20,000, and then blow it in like 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, pirates were the same. Like, or sailors, you'd be out to sea for months on end, and you come back with your, goods, and you'd have that party hardy kind of thing and carry on and such.
Yeah. So, and so because this hotel, even though the people who built it wanted it as this elegant showpiece for Juneau, was mostly used by miners. And to say that some of these guys wouldn't have known how to behave in an elegant setting is probably not too far off the mark.
Oh, for sure.
So let's talk about the hauntings. To this day, the Alaskan Hotel is virulently haunted. Ghosts have been reported in the bar with phantom touches. That sounds fun, Krysta. You're there by yourself. You're by yourself, and you feel something touch you.
No, thank you.
Especially not if it's cold. Like, I have a problem with cold things touching me. Like, I know that ain't metal. That's not metal.
Also in the bar, objects move under their own power, which would be interesting. Like you order a coffee and you go to, get sugar out of the sugar bowl and it moves away.
I'm not touching that sugar, nor am I drinking that coffee.
Small objects are often thrown by unseen hands in the basement, and strange whispers can be heard there as well. We could go stay at the Alaskan and hang out in the basement together.
I'm gonna fight those ghosts and then you. You like salt?
And then there's room 218. Room 218 is special.
That's what you say.
People report the side of the bed sinking as if someone is sitting on it.
Oh, did ghost hunters go to this hotel?
Very probably.
I feel like they did, and like they got like a heat signature from where it sank in, I feel like.
Yeah. Men report feeling touched or kissed, or guests complained of a strange woman being in this room.
Mm.
People report seeing a very similar, if not the same woman, walking down the stairs near the bar, or as a reflection in the mirror near 308, or as a reflection in many of the mirrors near the bar. So, Chris, you could hang out at the bar, have that cup of coffee, look in the mirror, and see someone who's not in the room, but their reflection is in the mirror.
That's fabulous. I just have a whole full-on conversation with them.
Room 315 is also a very special case. The room is reputedly very haunted. One story, and this one is actually true, speaks of a sailor who called to stay in a haunted room. Like his ship, and I want to say his ship was the Valley Forge, but I could be wrong. His ship pulled up into dock, and he wanted to stay at the Alaskan, so he calls and he is like, "Put me in the haunted room." They put him in 315.
Okay.
Later, he called frantically down to the front desk that something was attacking him and begged them to call the police. The police arrived and heard screaming coming from within the room, and then the sound of glass breaking. They were going to batter their way in, but at that point, someone came out of the hallway and told the police they thought the man in there jumped out the window. The man survived the jump because where they are, at that time, the Juneau Hotel was very close to other buildings. So when he leapt out, he could almost get to the other building. And so that sort of slowed him down. Also, Juneau has flattened its streets, but underneath that flattening at the time, you could go through the street and wind up under it and just crawl up out of it. I'm sure that's changed now. So someone comes out of the room, they thought the man jumped out of the window. But when the police entered 315, it was covered in blood, and not the sailors. I mean, yes, he'd been cut up by the windows, but we're talking blood all over the walls.
Wow. That's creepy.
That is creepy.
So, those are the hauntings we know about. Now, I don't know what's going on in 218 because, like I said, that story is almost certainly not true. But, man, prostitutes died all the time in these kinds of environments. So having one have been in that room could have very easily be the reason why guys see and feel her. And women too, for that matter. And then I don't even know what to think about room 315.
I don't know. I think that just in general, it's a very old place. It's had just tons of people and a lot of like really heavy emotion.
Yep.
play through in these walls and in this building. And we've talked about it over and over again, that things like that tend to kind of mark the walls in which they are lived through.
Right.
And I think that it just goes with the territory of being someplace like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, miners died there. Yeah, and we're talking about a place that was a rowdy place, and like even the Old West, the places that still stand, have a lot of ghostly events happen because that was a rough time.
Right.
So yeah, for me, the Alaskan, especially with room 315, that the sailor was a very special case. In fact, they got a telegram from the sailor's mom about how they had no right to put her son in that room.
Even though he asked to go into that room, huh?
Well,
Mom, I don't know what to tell you.
You know how, if our Chris was serving on a ship and decided, hey, I'm going to stay in this hotel, put me in a haunted room.
Then I love her very much, but her stupidity of going and staying in a haunted room is not somebody else's fault for going ahead and honoring her wishes. Sounds like a Karen to me.
It could be. But anyway, the point is they still have the telegram posted up in near the bar.
That's funny.
And the other thing I wonder too is, I wonder if the guy was kind of disrespectful.
It's possible, like talking smack like they do sometimes.
And I wonder if you were disrespectful in a room with a powerful entity, what could it do?
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So it just, I don't know. Chris, do you have any final thoughts on the place? Do you want to go to Alaska and hang out at the Alaskan Hotel and Bar?
Mister, if you ask me that one more time, I'm splashing hot coffee in your face in the morning.
Well, that seems rude, but all right. So
I'm not going.
You're not going?
No, thank you.
Is that just because it's cold, or because it's cold and there's ghosts?
Both.
Okay.
I don't want nothing colder touching me. That bar stool already cold.
Fair enough. I would like to go to like Juneau or Nome, one of the modern cities in Alaska, just because the place has a ton of history. And it would be interesting to check out. But I do not want to go to like a rural place, or like Barrow, which is a real place in Alaska, because polar bears. And I don't ever want to see one that isn't in a zoo cage. I mean, or on TV. Film the polar bears, whatever. Polar bears are big and they're hungry, and I don't want to become a meal.
Fair enough. I don't want you to become a meal, so we'll. And really, there's like next to no chance of us getting to Alaska anytime in the near future. So I think you're safe.
Yeah. Although, do you realize the rent in Alaska is pretty reasonable?
It would have to be, because there's no place to work up. No, that's not true. There are places to work. But, I mean, it's pretty inhospitable climate. I mean, you really have to want to go.
Yeah, no, I looked it up, and I was surprised, like, by how reasonable some of the rents are. Now, mind you, still not a reason to go, but it was surprising. So, any other final thoughts or any other summaries on the Alaskan Hotel and Bar?
I think I agree with Mom in the fact that there was a lot of hurt here and there was a lot of attachment here. Like, there obviously was, no matter what they could or could not have found. It was definitely a big thing that happened, and there's...
Well, and I would imagine that just like those who went west looking for a new life, there's always going to be those people who are looking to make their way in a new open land. And so you can see kind of that same attitude. And like, wasn't like the journey of Nadigan based on that as well? The book didn't she go to Alaska?
Who's Natty Gann?
Oh my gosh. How is somebody who's so well read, and I'm just like throwing all this stuff at you that you've never heard of? It's White Fang and that kind of stuff. I don't know. Like,
is it Jack London wrote it? Because
yeah,
I know
I feel like it's in that same genre, in that same I feel like the Fantastic Journey of Nadigan or something. Please, if I'm totally butchering this, I'm just kind of pulling things out of my head and I worked all day. So, but if I'm totally butchering this, send us. I haven't done my research. Send us corrections, and I will definitely apologize if I'm totally butchering all of these things.
now. See, I like Jack London. I mean, I haven't read all of his works, obviously, but yeah, I just wasn't familiar with Natty Gann. But wasn't there a movie named Natty Gann?
Yeah.
At like the 80s or something?
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything about. I want to say it was live action and not a cartoon, but beyond that, I have no real memory of it.
1980. It was a Disney movie. Of course it was. And John Cusack was in it.
Wow. Okay. I like John Cusack.
Right. Okay. So, but no, I don't think that was set in, I don't think it was set in Alaska, actually.
Okay. Well, I had not heard of it.
Right.
Although, come to think of it, was there a cartoon about Balto?
Yes.
Okay. Was it like one of those DreamWorks movies?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, I like, you can throw a Disney movie at me and there's a 80% chance I'd know it, but you get to those DreamWorks movies and I'm a lot more hit and miss. Like, I remember the Swan Princess, but only because John Cleese did a voice in it of Monty Python fame. But yeah, it just. And then there was that period in the 90s where any movie that Disney made, you would find a copy of it somehow, like a weird copy of it, at Walmart.
Right. And so something else to keep in mind that during all of this, when this was kind of in its heyday, the Great Depression was going on in the United States as well. And so looking at, the 1920s, 1930s, there were a lot of people out of work during that time, and looking for a fresh start. And so I was confused that she travels from Chicago to Washington in the Journey of Nadigan. So it's north, but not as far as Alaska north. So my bad on that one.
That's okay. Now I know. But yeah, I guess my final take is that I certainly believe the Alaskan is haunted, if only for its days at the Northlander when it was such a rough and tumble place.
Sure.
But it was, I mean, in its heyday, it was rough and tumble too, because the clientele that Caro and the McCloskey brothers imagined just wasn't there for the most part.
Right.
They were. What's the phrase? They were casting pearls before swine. That's the one. The guys that were staying in that hotel just didn't care about the fancy extras. They wanted a woman, they wanted a bottle, and that's really it.
Sure.
And that's our show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping us in the Good Pod's top 100. Thanks
for another amazing year.
Yes.
Because this is our final show for the 2023 year.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it sure is.
Because next week we'll do our New Year, New Weird show, which is really just sort of a recap of this past year. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Bill Barrett, who does our theme music. That last name is spelled Behrendt. If you need music for a project, or if you want someone to play an event, Bill's your guy. You can reach him at billbarrett@sbcglobal.net. I don't know why I couldn't remember that last week. Also, thanks to Paige Elmore of the Reverie Crime Podcast. If you need a true crime podcast, Paige has you covered. But she also has a Canva addiction, which she has combined with artwork from our own Krysta to make amazing logo art for us. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you, Paige.
And thanks to Aaron Gnurk of the Big Dumb Fun Show for continuing to promote us locally. Join us next year, also next week, but it will be next year, for our yearly New Year episode, New Year, New Weird. Bye!